Hello, I'm Jerry Lintner, and this is State of the Town, a monthly show when we sit with the Queen of... our first Selectman, Lisa Heavner, and get brought up to date on the state of the town.
So, Jerry, people might be wondering why we were on the trail together.
Okay, well, Lisa, why were we on the trail?
Well, Sunday was the Farmington Valley Trails Council annual cleanup day.
That's right.
And so you and I both volunteered down there. We got out the cow bike for me, which is part of the free bike system, and I rode
the cow bike?
The cow bike.
It looks like a cow?
It does. It's painted like a cow. It's got a basket with a cow in it. It's got a cowbell.
You rode a bicycle with a cow in the basket?
A picture of a cow, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and you can rent those for free through Simsbury Free Bike. So we went up and down the trails, giving people water and extra bags.
I didn't see you.
I don't know what to tell you, Jerry. You saw me. We saw at the beginning.
I saw you, but you weren't on a cow bike when I saw you. I didn't get any water. I was crawling along parched, having walked all these miles, picked up all this stuff, and no first selectman bringing me refreshments.
I brought other people refreshments. I guess I must not have seen you. But how about
maybe
that?
You did.
No, if I had seen you, I would have given you refreshments. Okay. But how about those volunteers? There were over 100 in Simsbury,
this is the biggest
right?
turnout, like forever. Well, I think that's wonderful. That speaks to the spirit of this community. We are that. Of course, there's going to be tough times when we knuckle down to the new budget. And then, of course, I guess we have Mr. Evil here today.
Not at all.
As a guest. Well, let's hold it in suspense. We won't get there right away. Well, there are two Mr. Evils, I guess. I mean, what? We're going to pick up a third of the teachers' pensions now?
So that's the proposal by the governor. And for Simsbury, that would mean an additional $3.6 million in expenses just on that side.
Yeah.
And the governor's total proposal was $4.3 million in additional expenses for Simsbury.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough. What could we do? Oh, we could have tolls in town. Actually, what Massachusetts has done with the tolls is great. You just zip right by, and then you get a bill a month later for $2.83. It's like, that's not bad.
So they are looking at that, the state legislature.
Well, yeah, and all these people, these great big semis and buses that race through our state and break down the roads, and come on, it's only fair. Stick it to them. Can you influence this?
Well, I certainly am part of the CCM and cost, and we are encouraging our legislators to look at many options. As you know, I worked on that CCM report.
Yeah, well, tell people what CCM means.
Connecticut Council of Municipalities.
Yeah,
so I worked
regional stuff, right?
Yeah, so I worked with
powerful voice.
Yeah, well, I worked with a lot of first selectmen and mayors from across the state and the Connecticut Council of Municipalities to sort of look at how we structure, how we collect the revenues we need to pay for the services we want.
Okay.
And one of the things that's most interesting is the state of Connecticut overly relies on the property tax more than most states across the nation, and that's a very regressive way to pay for the services you need because it doesn't care about how much income you earn. So for seniors, it's very tough. For small businesses, it's tough. For young families starting out, it's very tough.
Everybody except the 0.5%. They coast through.
Well,
oh wait, you might be one of the 0.5%.
I'm pretty sure I'm not. I'm pretty sure I'm not.
I didn't mean to offend. Okay, well, since we're going to go to the dark side for a good portion of today's interview, let's talk about some happy things. We talked about cleanup. What other wonderful things are happening?
So a couple things. We're seeking nominations for Simsbury's Hometown Heroes. So if you know someone who's deserving, we would love to recognize and honor them.
I think all of them who have worked have won. I think, yeah. Nah.
Well, there are people, and the deadline's April 18th. So if you do know someone, please get those.
Has a first selectman ever been hometown hero?
Mary got it last year, not a sitting. It's not offered to sitting members of boards and commissions.
Okay.
But yeah.
Of course, you guys get paid, so I mean, yeah. Well, never mind. Not so much in the future.
We have
the Board of Finance. Are they the ones who decided that first selectman slash the salary?
No,
that was the Board of Selectmen.
The Board of Selectmen.
Okay, yeah, I knew that.
So another thing that's coming up, Simsbury Library is going to be commemorating the 100th anniversary of America's entry into World War I with a series of programs, and that's on the library's webpage, and it's worth looking at that.
Like paintball?
No, like presentations and talks on different aspects of war. They're actually very interesting. And it is worth taking a look at that.
But World War I, yeah, I guess you don't think about that so much. World War II, D-Day, all of that.
And big news is summer camp registration has begun and pool passes are available, and the Simsbury Farms Golf Course is now open. So how about that?
Spring is here.
Yeah,
Spring is here.
Definitely the signs of spring.
And now, today, your guest is, if you would invite him in.
Yes, Rob Pomery, Chairman of the Board of Finance.
Rob Pomery, Chairman of the Board of Finance. Hi, Rob. You look like a nice guy. It's good to meet you.
On most days, yeah.
So
No,
how
he
did,
is a
Quite
nice
an
guy.
introduction.
how did you dare to move into this position, especially in such desperate times?
You know the definition of a volunteer is, don't you?
I put a target on your back is what I've always
It's
heard.
that somebody didn't understand the question. I stole that from somebody else, but I think it's a great exercise.
Okay, so you have been on the Board of Finance prior?
Just
or-
a year and a half.
Okay.
I was previously on the zoning commission.
Okay, and you live here in town?
I have for 30, almost 30 years. So
That doesn't count in
No,
this town.
just
You're
getting
not
warmed
third
up.
generation. You're visiting. You're
Yeah.
still in visiting status. So you have family?
2 girls that have been through the Simsbury system. My wife and I have lived here since '85, so that's 32 years.
So what are the issues?
So really, it's we've had a couple of very good meetings with good public participation, and I think that's critical for this to be an iterative process, which is what we are. We have 3 boards that need to work together, and I
So
think,
let's list those 3 for people
the
who...
Board of Education,
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen, and the
Yeah.
Board of Finance. And each of us
Now,
has
does
our
the
own
Board
role.
of Finance actually determine yea or nay on the Board of Education?
No, it's an iterative process. I mean,
wait, she's saying yes and
Well,
you're
ultimately,
saying no.
yes. We have to approve.
See, I told you, the power.
Well, the
power.
actual power is with the voters. What we do is we have to get to a point where we recommend the 2 budgets.
Yeah, but we understand. We always vote yes on whatever you say.
The Board of Finance is a citizen oversight board. Our job is to review and challenge the 2 operating budgets that are put forth by the Board of Ed and the town Board of Selectmen.
So how does that work this year? Give us some specifics of I know there are lots of, I don't know if those are Board of Selectmen or Board of, those are Board of Selectmen meetings, the little work groups
That's the
that
Board of
creep
Selectmen.
on through the
Right.
year.
Yep.
Then you put something together. The Board of Selectmen say yea or nay. You guys
Right.
talk it back and forth. It then goes to you guys
Right.
as a proposed Board of Selectmen and from the Board of Ed,
Both.
both.
So there's a little difference between them. So the Board of Selectmen's budget is a line item budget, which means the Board of Finance has control over each line
I
item.
was going to say, yeah, I remember that. That's
But the
like,
Board of Education is a bottom line budget, so they look
Right.
at the overall number. So it's slightly different approaches,
Right.
but
okay.
And as a result of that, I think the process, the interaction is different because we try early in the process, which is usually in the fall, to give guidance with the upcoming budget where we think the operating budget should come in because we
Okay,
can
so
look
let's
forward.
review that. What was the guidance this fall?
We were suggesting that the budgets need to come in between 1% and 2% increase from the previous year.
That was before we knew.
Before there was any. Well, I mean, we certainly were not ignorant of the fact that the state has been running at deficits and that they were
Right.
getting bigger every
Okay.
year. So there's always a presumption that something the state has levers that they pull with the towns, and it's educational cost sharing, it's help with roads, it's all of these projects. Some of bigger magnitude than others.
I understood that in general, this goes years and years back, so I don't know if it's bigger or smaller now, but that what we as a citizen, any citizen, the average citizen of Simsbury, for every dollar of state taxes they paid, they got a nickel back.
8 cents.
That's what?
8
8?
cents. Yeah.
Well, come on, we can afford to give them 3 cents more than we used to be at a nickel.
Why not
What
make
do
it
we
a dime?
complain about? A dime?
Yeah, make it a dime.
Okay, so when you get the news then, and I mean the thing that puzzles me that I'd like to understand a little more, I don't think before ever, we had a lot of friends who are teachers, and they've been concerned for years
Right.
about the deficit in the
Right.
state pension. But towns, did they ever contribute to the pension, or is this a revolutionary?
Yeah, this certainly predates my time in being involved.
Okay, so I mean, this is like Huh?
No, so I can speak to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So back in the 1930s when Franklin Roosevelt introduced the Social Security
Oh,
tax.
Frank, yeah.
Yes. So at that time, states had the ability to say, we'll opt out in certain things. And the teachers opted out of Social Security. So they don't get Social Security. And the state took on their pension obligations.
Yeah,
and
but
we're
now
just
why
gonna
are
do
they
it.
saying, okay, we took it on, but now we're giving a third of it to the towns? Is that right? Do I have that right?
Since the 30s, and really for 70 years, they've been underfunding it. They haven't met their obligations. So that's 70 years. But so why are they doing that? So there is some logic. I mean, there's some logic and some illogic in it. On the one hand, each municipality negotiates salary, and salary determines a portion of the pension. But the Board of Ed is very constrained in their negotiations because of state constraints that they put on it, so there isn't as much flexibility for the Board of Education because of what the state did. The pension program was designed by the state without our input, without asking us, negotiated with the teachers
So
long
now,
ago.
could you say, oh, okay, we'll pick up a third of it. By the way, your pensions are reduced by a third.
No.
No.
So no, you can't. And so that's part of the objection that a lot of municipalities have. We didn't break it. It's not our job to fix it. You created it. You need to meet your obligations. We know from the latest court case in Connecticut that public education is really the state's obligation. And
So do we, citizens of the state, get to vote on this, or is it just fait accompli once the governor says that's the way it's going to be?
Well, the governor isn't going to get his budget approved until the legislature comes up with their budget, and they'll broker some deal between the two of them to come up with the actual state budget.
Then how do you guys come up with a budget when there's
That's what makes this so
many
unusual
ifs?
and so difficult. And it's every municipality in the state has to deal with this
Share
uncertainty.
your angst. Like you wake up in the middle of the night and you think, how would I possibly give guidance? Because
I think the thing that's most frustrating about this is that I really think the governor woke up and saw that a lot of the towns have been very responsible and have
that
created,
seems to be what the newspapers say. Is that,
created reserves and, well, let them fix it. They have the reserves, we don't.
well, the
And so-
reserves, though, we already needed to use those for, what's the other hunk that we have to go into reserve for before the teacher thing
the
came
Hartford.
The
we've been-
Hartford, yeah.
up? That's right.
Yeah. So, but we do that. See, we had the foresight to set aside money before that actually hit that wave hit the beach.
No
And
good deed will go
Never,
Pretty
unpunished.
much.
never does. Yeah. So it is frustrating, and the timelines are really difficult because we need to have a budget approved, referendum done, bills ready to go out by the 1st of July. And if that budget isn't approved soon at the state level, then we're going to create a budget, set a tax rate, and send out bills that may or may not be a balanced budget. And that's very frightening.
Well, I thought that at one point the towns had asked, okay, and apparently the state can say yea or nay, give us the leeway of not establishing our budget until the state when it's been approved.
Well, I
and
think
that,
actually
he said no.
I'll ask Lisa. I thought the towns were the ones who didn't want to do that. That seems like a slippery slope to me. That seems like it just will go into nowhere.
So it would
You were
benefit.
behind this.
No, I
You were
was
the one forcing them to move into unknown territory to
No.
make a decision that later we'll all criticize when we find out the state has really put it to us. Of course, you know the problem with this whole thing? We are the state. We are the town, we are the state. So one way or the other, the bill has to be paid, and it's going to be paid by the same base,
So
which is us.
The theory behind it is some towns, unlike Simsbury, have dates where they have to get their budgets completed by March. And that would be
that's
very
where I was
difficult.
off base. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
So
So
we-
they didn't get an extension.
So they did not. So there, a lot of towns, what they're doing is they're passing their budgets and asking their residents to vote no because they can extend the budgeting process and go to a second referendum when they have more information.
Has that happened yet with any towns?
I don't know that it's actually happened yet. That's what they're threatening to do. I do know that Simsbury, we're in a fortunate position that we, as Rob was saying, that we could delay our referendum to June when we hope, we'll have at least better information than we have now.
Okay.
But the problem is, our fiscal budgets start July 1 and bills come due. We spend about $25 million in the first quarter. So if we haven't, you can give me permission to delay it, but we still got to write the checks. And if there's no money coming in, then you have to get a tax anticipation bond or. So it's not. It's
So off to prison you must go.
no.
Right?
So it's not great.
Well, you're the one who's supposed to write the checks, right?
And the director of finance. Yeah.
Oh,
That's not me.
oh no, that's the employee.
No.
Oh yeah, so what do you
Remember, I'm
care?
a volunteer.
Yeah, get that
Yeah, I'm a
get that
volunteer.
guy out of the way.
But it is a challenge, and we're seeing all sorts of crazy options laid
Right.
out there. Rob and I were just talking.
So share your general logic. Like you see, it's like, okay, well, it appears the thing that's the responsible thing to do for that referendum is this. But the odds are a strong possibility of then. So
Yeah, so that's really exactly where we are in the process. We've reviewed the budgets. We've had the budgets presented to the Board of Finance late in March. We had a public hearing last Thursday night where those budgets were presented to the town.
now, did you send any of those back already at this point, or that's later?
What we've said is that we believe that at a minimum, we're going to have $2 million of negative impact from the state. That's a
At a minimum.
in that range.
Is that counting? We pick up the teachers' pensions.
That's taking the
No.
4.3. We're not specifying where it's coming from, Jerry. We're just saying that if they take away the pension, there's probably some. It's like a balloon, you know.
Right.
They need to fix a $1.7 billion problem,
Right.
And they can't just say, "Oh no, we didn't mean it." They've got to find something else.
But if they came up with then on top of what you're seeing at this point, and then they say, okay, a third of the pension is yours. What does that
that's
add?
a problem. So we need to prepare for that. And what we said is we've asked the Board of Selectmen and most importantly the Board of Ed, because of this bottom line nature, to look for order of magnitude $1 million worth of savings in the budgets that were presented as being ready. And so we're hopeful that would be enough. Now we do have an opportunity to look at reserves, and we are expecting, and we've been signaling, that we're going to have a tax increase.
Like,
So-
about what amount? And what does that do to...
I think it would be naive to say none. It would be...
5 would not be right either.
5 might...
Unless
I
the
would
teachers'
say,
pensions...
I see the best it would be in the 3 to 5% range. I think that's
That's
what
the
everybody
best.
needs.
Yes.
So with the teacher thing, that doesn't even
That's
take care of that.
8.5, 8.3
It would make
with
it up
the
to
teachers.
exactly. That's
Oh, my
if
word.
Malloy's budget got passed by the legislature, and we pushed all of it onto the taxpayers and didn't lower the operating budgets or use any reserves.
No,
that full burden would be about 8.
The operating budget, and then of course, really on our budget, if you look at it, and I'm just speaking in generalities, but what, 2/3 or 3/4 is the Board of Ed?
About 70%.
About 70.
70, yeah, pretty good,
Yeah.
66 and good. Okay, then you have about 90% of your budget is already salaries negotiated with unions, and so you got like about 10% to play with, which is streets and social programs, and that's peanuts.
So it's peanuts, but they're things that affect people's lives.
I know, that's my point.
So
people will be like dying in the street.
The only thing, I always feel compelled to say this, and this will make me seem like a meanie, but yes, the salaries and wages of the employees are contracts that are negotiated with unions. However, we don't have to have all of the employees. So when we say that these are locked in and we have to spend that money, if we can't afford it, we'll pay the people that we have what they've negotiated.
Okay, but that's
but that's to Lisa's point that these are real people that have real jobs who we count on in
Now
the
they
town
are.
and at the Board of Ed.
Because I'm so much older than either of you, and I remember the wars of the parties in Simsbury, the back rooms, and it was like, I'm not going to appoint a Supreme Court justice for you till you're not president anymore. I'm not going to support one for you because you wouldn't support one for my guy when he was a president. It was like that kind of environment. And we've had waves of some of that returning through the years, but it is so much better.
It is so much better.
Oh, yeah, it is so much
Absolutely.
better before, and there is this real, mood of cooperation. But truly, then you're starting to look at, and in those days, A lot of people sitting around twiddling their thumbs. The best way to be a police officer, a lot of people as old as me are going to hate me saying this, but it was a great job for your incompetent son. Because it was.
That is not at all an accurate picture for today.
You weren't even living here then when that was so. How can you
I'm just
say
saying
that?
for today, that is not
Not
accurate.
for today.
Okay.
Today, no. I mean, they're not even fat anymore. They're really fit. So I think our police department is outstanding.
They really are.
In the town hall. But it was not always that way. It was not always that way. Then you're making me sound like the president. Don't do that. This is sad. This is sad. This is sad.
It is not sad.
Now, wait a minute. So now, through the years, administrations of both parties in control have pared down the staff.
No, the budgets are.
So that,
right.
Jan and I and a number of other people as volunteers work with a lot of town staff. They are very efficient. They carry a heavy load. Nobody's sitting there playing solitaire during the day or trying to make it difficult for their
I want to be clear
coworker.
that these are very reasonable and
It
tough
gets
budgets.
tough. How do you cut those?
So I think Rob's right. You have to make the call.
Well, of course Rob's right.
Rob's
Rob,
always
you're
right.
right.
but as that's one of the Rob has asked us to look at our budgets, and we'll have to look at, do we want to, because if you cut people or to make some of the cuts beyond where we are, remember, just to cover our legal obligations, which are salaries and benefits, I'm at 3.5. We came in at 3.6. So there's not a lot of fluff there. We had to add we're recommending adding a police dispatcher because of the increase in population and medical calls.
Well, okay, I don't understand this. Why do we go to a town manager that we pay more than we do the first selectman, and then the first selectman, we still pay them something, although it's piddly.
So I don't know, and I'm not going to go there, but I will. But I will tell you. But I will tell you, as the board of selectmen
Why do
gets
you
together.
have two previous selectmen on the board saying, what we need is a town manager?
I don't
Did they feel they didn't do a good job?
I
Or did
don't
they
know.
feel they were so exceptional that nobody could
We
do a
probably
job
can't
as good
solve
as
that on
they?
this one.
Yeah, we can't solve it. But I will say,
I'm
if
not
we do
asking
have
it to be solved. I'm just blowing off.
So you're going to let me answer the original question?
Yes, please,
Thank
Lisa,
you.
would you?
So what Rob has asked the boards to do, the Board of Selectmen is going to be looking at, okay, if we reduce our operating budget, that means a reduction in services
Yeah.
to some of the things you said.
Right.
And so we'll have to
That's-
decide.
that's the point I was trying to
Yeah. Or the other thing we can do is we can move out some capital, but you have to move out an awful lot of
Oh, wait,
capital.
that sounds very technical. What do you mean move out capital?
So the capital projects that are also part
capital
of this budget. We've
projects.
been talking mostly about operating, but
So
those
let's
need.
mention a couple of the capital budgets.
There's some
that-
large projects on
Like?
the junior high school phase 3, which is a significant
See, I didn't even hear about that one. I'm getting
expansion
old.
and updating of the middle school.
And then
Okay.
the senior center.
And the senior center. Those are the two large ticket items. But those are phased in over and paid for with bonding, and they last for 15 years.
And we
I know
still
there's
have
some
a good
people in town think
bonding
that
rate.
they're expensive, and others that are
Think they're
think
essential.
that
Yeah.
I mean, parts of the middle school haven't been touched since it was built in 1957, and I think that's shameful. But
Okay, now let me think. The Board of Finance is elected.
Mm-hmm.
Once they're elected, who elects the chairman of the Board of Finance?
the members of the board.
Are you going to stand for election next term, or are you?
So appropriately so, the Board of Finance are 6-year terms, and so
How about-
and they overlap, and so and that's necessary
Oh,
because
come
of
on.
the learning curve.
Paul was chairman of the Board of Finance for at least 20 years.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying that when he was
6
first
and then
elected,
another
you don't
6.
have to
Right.
run again for 6 years.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
that's
he looks
really
a lot
important.
younger than that. You never guess. he
No,
was
it is
that
very.
old, but-
What he's saying is
No,
really
it's really important because
Okay.
there is a steep learning curve.
I would guess.
On how the budgets work and how the process works and the accounting, the fund accounting, and really the first year you're sort of in a spin, I have to say. I participated in it. I had ideas about it, but the second year you really
Well, but
are
you
much
have some pros on there. A lot of them, I think, just some are my friends. I do have some friends that they, surprise, that they're kind of like, oh, God, no. We're seriously considering not running. But it's like, well, let's stick around for another term just to help out in some sort of transition.
No, it is.
So you've got a huge job. A huge
it's a big job. It's important.
Yeah.
But I will say, Rob's been a great working with Matt and I, and the three boards have worked really collaboratively because
It's
you
Matt
can't.
and me, actually.
Oh,
but-
Matt, you're right, Matt
Okay.
and me. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. But the
Not
point,
really.
I am sorry about that. But the point is, this is such a tumultuous time that you can't do it with any one boards or the boards fighting. And so I really credit Rob for working collaboratively and setting a collaborative tone.
Okay, well, I do want to say this is not an apology at all, but just to acknowledge the fact that maybe I get in the way of knowledge being exchanged publicly sometimes, unintentionally, of course. But my granddaughter, when she watched one of them on streaming video, said, "Grandpa, why don't you let that woman ever talk?" However, with a previous first selectman, I had people watch and said, "God, Mary won't let you get a word in edgewise, will she?" So, Rob, you're having great fun at this. You love it. Everybody respects you for it.
I do. It's a challenge.
Now, are you retired? Has this become your full-time
No, I
job?
have a full-time day
Oh,
job.
my
so,
Lord.
yeah.
Wow. Well, what do you do?
I'm the chairman of Horizon Technology Finance, which is a company that provides capital for young technology companies.
Oh, so they're not
Headquartered in
linked
Farmington.
with Wells Fargo in
No, we
any
have
way.
nothing to do with those guys.
So technology, like, in the ether, computers.
We do
or
life sciences and biotechnology as well as
biotechnology.
software.
Now, does that get into bots or anything like that? Robots?
No, not so
No.
much. Most,
Oh,
a
it will.
lot of drug
Everything is going to
drug
go to
discovery.
robots.
Yeah,
Touch me.
yeah.
I
You
might
real?
be an advanced
Are you
model.
real?
Applaud one. The one they afterwards vote on. No more models like this. We got to put fins on it or something.
Yeah.
So you've been in the position as of the last election.
Right. Well,
Okay.
yes, 2007.
And who are the
15.
other people that?
So we have a very good board. We have Linda Schofield's the vice chair.
Oh, yeah.
And she's been on. This is her fourth year, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Something
she's-
like that.
We have Jeff Blumenthal.
Oh, I know Jeff.
Jeff's a good guy. And then Moira Wertheimer.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
And,
she was a selectman.
Kevin Prell. Kevin and I were elected, and then
don't know Kevin.
Barbara Pettigene.
And Barbara's had a lot of
Barbara
experience.
resigned and moved out of town, unfortunately.
Really?
And
Yeah,
she
she
had
did.
been the chairman.
She go to Florida? or
She
something?
did.
Well, Florida and Cape Cod.
Right.
So we just seated Derek Peterson. So we have
Okay.
a
He's lovely.
young emerging board too.
Lovely.
They're all lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Well, I meant it as a compliment, Jerry.
Well, I know you did, but it's so Victorian. These are just lovely people. And Doonesbury, who was the woman, her husband died when he was birding, and she was a long-time senator, and she would say something like that, you don't look at Doonesbury, right? Anyhow, it's
Not
good. It's
recently.
really good, but she would say something like, "Oh, that's just lovely." And she was kind of a tough old bird underneath it, as are you, but I think that's lovely. Well, okay, this has been great. It's been very edifying to me, and I hope to you guys also. Actually, all of that patter is trying to get things out just in a more... All of us in our professions end up speaking a language that becomes very specialized to what we do. And part of what I view as my job, even if it ends up, unfortunately, disseminating incorrect interpretation, is to try to get down to like a layman's language. And it's really designed so you guys get input and help for what you're doing. Because
Absolutely.
I remember we had, actually, it was Candace Fitzpatrick, who you'd see the Board of Selectmen sitting up there. Somebody was proposing something. Maybe three of them hadn't read their stuff, and so they weren't saying anything because they didn't want to expose that. The audience is sitting there thinking, what are they talking about? And Candace would always ask, well, wait a minute, what are we really talking about when we did this? And I thanked her multiple times because then you could, I have an opinion about that. Rob, thank you very
My
much.
pleasure.
Good luck
Glad
to
do
you.
it. Yeah, we appreciate everybody's interest and support as we go through
I'm
this
thinking of
process.
getting a license to carry, so if I
Yeah.
get that and you need some assistance,
No.
you let me know. I'll be there. No, you
Absolutely.
already have a license to carry, Lisa.
do
Why do
not.
you care?
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you so much. Aren't they great to withstand all of this? And actually, you're great tuning in each month, and hopefully we'll see you again next month on State of the Town.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.